Hey folks, this is Ardwulf. Welcome to On the Table. We are going to do a complete playthrough of this game, First Crusade by Decision Games. This was in Strategy and Tactics number 299. If I am not mistaken, this is still available. This came out a year and a half ago or so. It's actually the latest S&T that I picked up. Really the only S&T that I bought in recent years at all. And it's an interesting looking game. It's a solitaire game, comes with a map, comes with some counters. So let's get it set up and get started. Okay, so I have basically everything set up, and that basically amounts to putting some markers on various tracks on the board, setting up Seljuk Turk units in a number of fortresses across the board, and setting up the Crusaders in Constantinople. Now, the Crusaders consist of three factions. The Crusaders themselves, the Byzantines, and the Armenians. The Armenians start in neutral. The Crusaders start in Constantinople with a set layout, which I have laid out up here, and the Byzantines start with a random number of troops. They start with 4 leaders plus 2d6 troops. So I will take 5 random Byzantine units out of the Byzantine units cup. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we don't know exactly what these are. So we have some horse archers. We've got some heavy infantry. We've got some heavy cavalry, and we've got some militia, which are basically they're pilgrims, and we have another heavy infantry. So let's set these in Constantinople. Now this is a huge random element right at the beginning of the game, so how this is going to affect play balance, I'm not sure. My initial impression would be that it's going to affect play balance quite substantially, because I could have rolled 12 and drawn most of the chits in this cup, but instead I rolled 5, which is pretty low. So if this is at all like many other solitaire games, it's going to be fairly challenging. Anyway, so let's see how it goes. I don't necessarily expect to win. This is the first time I will have played the First Crusade from start to finish. So as with most war games, the First Crusade goes through a sequence of play where you execute things in a specific order. We're going to start in the Spring 1097 turn, and the first thing we're going to do is roll for events. So we're going to roll 2d6. Let me get a couple dice out. And the white die is going to be the horizontal die. And we got horizontal 2 and vertical 6. So let's see what that means. So horizontal 2 and vertical 6 means we go 2 columns over and 6 down. The event that we get is Crusader reinforcement. So on the first turn, that's pretty optimal. Let's pick a chit from the Crusaders random reinforcements. And we got the 6th heavy infantry. I can place this in Constantinople or in any Crusader port, which right now is only Constantinople. So the next step of the turn that we go through is the regular actions step, and I can execute 3 regular actions, which in this case are going to be march actions. There are several different regular actions that I can take, including pilgrimages and some other stuff. I can do recruiting actions. I'm not sure I see a need to do that right now. I think what we're going to do is we're going to allocate some forces up in Constantinople, and we're going to conduct 3 march actions to start to get them down into the action. Okay, so what I think I'm going to do here is I'm going to launch 2 expeditions with the Crusaders and 1 expedition with the Byzantines. Now, Constantinople is safe. Muslim units cannot enter it, so it's not like I have to keep guys behind to defend Constantinople. Nevertheless, I would like to have some level of reserve happening. And there are basically 3 routes that you can take down to the Holy Land. You could take the eastern route, the coastal route, or the central route. And I think I'm going to cover all 3. And I'm going to do the central route and coastal route with the Crusaders. So this is what we have available. We have 10 leaders available, and we have some troops available. Now, the leaders have a strength. These guys represent their own personal bodyguards or whatever troops, body of troops as well. The red shields represents military strength. The gold shields represents diplomatic strength, which is really nice because you draw extra chits for it. So I think what we're going to do, you can see we've got some diplomacy leaders, and we've got some military leaders. We've got a couple of really good military leaders here. So we're going to start with Godfrey of Bouillon as our first military leader. And I think we're going to use Raymond of Toulouse as our second And we are going to launch these expeditions with a considerable number of troops. So let's take Godfrey with 2 heavy infantry and a heavy cavalry, and Raymond with 2 heavy infantry and 2 heavy cavalry. And just because I feel like we want some cannon fodder with each contingent, we will send some pilgrims along with them, say 3 of each. There is, by the way, no stacking limit in this game, so this is perfectly fine. So I'll put the rest of these guys back up in Constantinople and figure out the Byzantines. Okay, so here's what I have for leaders and troops available for the Byzantines, which is not really a ton. We've got Alexios. Now, Alexios has a big strength factor on him. He is the Byzantine emperor, but if he gets killed, you lose 10 victory points right off the top. And I'm not 100% sure we really want to do that with him. But what I'm thinking about doing with him is actually next turn sending him on his own expedition. Let's see, we'll give the heavy infantry, the heavy cavalry to Alexios, and the next highest guy is Dukas, who we'll send with these horse archers and militia, which seems like a pretty skeletal force, to be honest. I think we're going to put all of them together and take the central track this turn. So we've got our 3 expeditions all set up, so let's see how they move. Okay, I did put an extra leader in each of the 2 Crusader stacks because I appear to have a surplus of leaders right now. So the way movement works is you have a random allotment of movement points depending on whether you have a leader or not. In this case, everybody has a leader. So I'm going to activate Godfrey's stack and roll 2d6. It would be 1d6 if he didn't have a leader there. I have a 6. So I have 6 movement points. And I think Godfrey is going to take the coastal route down to the Holy Land, and he is going to go one point, and each space is only just 1 point. 2 and 3, and put him here in Smyrna. Now here he has to stop because there is a Seljuk unit in that space. We conduct combat right in the same action sequence as everything else. So in this case, the combat occurs at the end of the Crusader movement. The first thing we do as part of the combat is the Muslims get reinforcements, and the number of reinforcements they get is dependent on the Muslim reaction level. That right now is 1, so they're just going to roll 1 die, and I'm going to pick that number of chits, thank goodness it's only 1, from the, in this case, the Seljuk pool. And here's the unit that I picked. I picked the leader Yagi, so that actually increases the manpower of that particular location by a substantial amount, since there was only 1 militia unit in there in the first place. At this point, we then reveal all Muslim combat units in the space, and then we place everybody face up in the battle display, which I'll show you right now. Okay, so what we do now is determine which side has the tactical edge in this combat. And we determine that based on a formula. So if there are any Christian military leaders in the force, that's military leaders, not diplomatic leaders, there are. Both Godfrey and Hugh of Vermandois are in there, so we're going to add 1. And then we can play 1 pilgrimage marker, which we don't have any of right now. And then if the Christian force has more horse archers than the Muslim force has horse archers, which is definitely not the case, then we would also add 1. And if the Christian force is defending Jerusalem, add 1, which obviously that doesn't apply here. We're fighting in Ephesus. So we are just going to roll 1 die and add 1 to the roll. So, okay, so the Christians have a 5, so I'm just going to pull this out and mark 5, because remember there was +1 to the roll. Now the Muslims, if they have a leader, they will add 1. If they have more horse archers, in this case they don't, they will add 1. If there's an ambush, we add 1, which is the case here. And if they're defending, anybody defending Jerusalem gets a +1. So the Muslims will roll, and they have a 2. So in this case, the Christians have the tactical edge in this particular combat. Let's just put these right here. We also need to roll to determine how many battle rounds will occur in this particular battle, and we just roll the die for that. So there are going to be 2 battle rounds here. That's probably something that fairly dramatically favors the Christians. So each round contains 2 fire segments. First, the side with the tactical edge rolls, and then second, the other side that doesn't have the tactical edge rolls. In this case, we're going to roll for each and every individual Christian unit, and we will see how many hits we can deliver. So first I'm going to roll Godfrey. He has a 5, so what I'm trying to roll here is 5 or less. Okay, so we have 1 hit, and I'll tally that hit with a die. And then let's roll for Hugh, who has a 2, so he needs to roll a 2 or less. And Hugh misses. We have 3 different missionaries, or pilgrims, as the case may be. So we'll roll for them. They all have a 1, so we got 2 hits off of that. So we're going to have 3 hits. And I'm going to do all of these, even though I have enough hits now to eliminate the entire Muslim force. We have our heavy infantry here. I see a 3, a 3, and a 3, so we'll just roll these all together since they're all heavy infantry. That's no hits. So we've scored 3 hits against the Muslims. Although Christian units do have a second side with reduced strength, Muslim units do not. By Christian units, I include Armenian and Byzantine units there. These guys are all just 1 step, so these guys just get eliminated and go back into the Seljuk pool. So we'll put them back there. And then we will put all our forces back together and stick them in the newly captured force at... if I said Ephesus, I was incorrect. This is actually happening in Smyrna. Okay, so for our second action, we are going to activate Baldwin's force here. And we're going to take the eastern route. We're going to do that so we can stop in Armenia on the way and convince the Armenians to help us out in this noble and holy crusade. So we do have a leader in that stack, so let's roll 2 dice for movement points. We have a 6. If we roll a 7, it's something special, and we have to conduct attritions, and that's important. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and we're going to stop 4 in Ansira. Again, this will stop us. Again, the Muslim reaction level is 1, so we're going to roll 1 die to see how many additional Muslim units show up. We get 4 Seljuk units that show up in that space. And let's just mix the counters up here. So here's 4 more Seljuk pieces, and let's break them all out and see what we end up with on the battle display. Okay, so here's what we've got. On the Crusader side, we have 2 leaders, Baldwin and Raymond, and then we have 4 missionaries, 2 heavy cavalry, 2 heavy infantry, and on the Seljuk side, we have a leader, a militia, a heavy cavalry, and 2 horse archers. Now you notice that the horse archers can vary a little bit in strength. So we are going to get some horse archers here as a bonus for the Muslim roll. So let's roll to determine tactical edge for the Crusaders. They are just going to get a +1 for this because they do have leaders. So they have a grand total of 2 for the Crusaders. Let's put that right there. And then let's roll for the Muslims. The Muslims will get a +2 to this roll. So it sure sounds like the Muslims are going to have a tactical edge here. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Not by much, so that's only a 3. Muslims do have a tactical edge, and that's a big deal. So we are going to roll first, this time, for the Muslims. So let's grab some dice. Let's roll first for the 2. Well, we actually have to roll for the horse archers 1 at a time. So this will be for the top horse archer that has a factor of 2. He needs a 2 or less, and he doesn't get it. The bottom guy needs a 1. He doesn't get it. The Ascari get a roll. They need a 2 or less, so they're going to get a hit. So let's put that over here. Put that over here. And then Yagi, who is maybe a generic title of some kind and not a specific individual. This is the first crusade, not the third crusade, where Saladin comes in and is very impressive. Yagi misses, and for the Seljuk militia, we got to roll 1 more time, and that's a 6. So the Muslims have done 1 hit to the Crusaders. Now, in allocating the hits against Muslims, I have to apply them in a specific way, but because they're the AI-controlled enemy in the game. But for Crusaders, I can apply them to whoever I want. So I'm going to apply them to a militia or missionary here. So he does not have a second step, so he is just going to go back in the pot for later withdrawal. And then we're going to roll for the tactical non-edge fire segment. So let's start with them. So we are going to roll 2 dice for our heavy infantry. We need 3s or less, and we got nothing. We're going to roll 2 dice for our heavy cavalry. We need 3s or less. We have 1 hit. Oh, we forgot to determine how many battle rounds there would be in this combat. So let's roll that. Since we're the first one, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so there will be 2, so let's put that here. We got 1 hit there. Let's roll 3 dice for our pilgrims. They need 1s, and they got nothing. So let's roll a die for Baldwin. One annoying thing about these particular dice handlers last. And he gets a hit. So Crusaders will apply 1 hit here. That's gone. And for Raymond. Raymond gets a hit too. So that's 2 hits apply to the Muslims. So I have to apply them to the lowest, weakest combat strength. In the event of ties, I get to pick. So we have 2 guys here. Basically, I'm going to get rid of the 2 1-strength combat units. And they will go back into the Seljuk Cup, where they can be pulled out later. Now, for the second battle round, the Muslims got the tactical edge at the beginning of the battle, so they will retain it for the rest of the battle. So they will roll first. So let's roll for the leader first. He needs a 2 or less. He doesn't get it. The Askari need a 2 or less, and they don't get it. And the Seljuks, the Seljuk horse archers, I should say. The Seljuk horse archers do score hits, so we'll put that right there to signify that. And we can pick where those go. Again, we'll take it from the crappy militia rather than any of the better units. And then we will roll for the Crusaders. So I guess I'm going to make it the convention to roll for the leaders first and go left to right here. So let's roll for Baldwin first. And he misses. Raymond will roll, and he misses. We can roll together for the 2 pilgrims. They need 1s. They don't get it. We can roll together for the 2 heavy cavalry. They need 3s or less. And we have 2 hits there. So we'll just apply 2 hits right here. D10 actually might be a little more useful for this. And roll for the 2 heavy infantries. Drop the die on the floor there. And looks like we got 2 more hits there. So we will then rotate this die to 4, and we have done 4 damage to the Muslims. So we have exterminated this Muslim force as well. These Seljuks will go back in the Seljuk Cup. And then these units will go back into the space on Ankara. Okay, so for our third action, we're actually going to change our force deployment here. There's no reason we can't do this. We can do this at the moment of declaring the action. I'm going to put this last Byzantine unit in with that stack as well. And let's roll 1 die for how many movement we get. We're actually going to roll 2 dice because there is a leader there. They get 4 movement points. These dice are really rolling rather low. They're just going to move out here into Nicaea, okay, and they're going to conduct a battle there. And we're going to see how this works out, because this could be problematic for them. This is the smallest of my 3 forces, and it contains the Roman Emperor Alexios in it. And if he gets killed, it's very bad for me. So let's roll for the Muslims to see how many Muslim reinforcements we get. 5. That's bad news. So let's pick 5 and see what it looks like on the battle display. Okay, so here's what we end up with. On the Byzantine side, we have Alexios and Dukas. We have a heavy cav, a pilgrim. We have a horse archer, which is important. That means that the Muslim player, who also only has 1 horse archer, will not get a +1 to the tactical edge roll. And we have 2 heavy infantry. So these are pretty good units. These are a little less good. Okay, so in looking at the rules, I have discovered an error. If the defender is defending a fortress, he automatically wins tactical edge. So that goes, in this case, to the Muslims. The Muslims rolled for it last time and won it, so it would not have affected the second action from this turn, but it would have affected the first battle. Probably not too much, because there were only 2 or 3 Muslim units in there, so I'm going to call that a wash, and we're going to move along without it, because there's no sense backing it up. But that is an error that I made, so sorry about that. Let's proceed here. So we're going to have 3 dice for... we'll start with Ridwan here, who's an actual named leader. He needs a 2 or less. And he got it. So we will mark a hit against the Byzantine army. We have 3 Seljuk militia. They need 1s. Wow, how about that? You can't see it, actually. They rolled 3 2s. So that that's a wash for them. Roll for the Seljuk horse archers. They got a 1, so this is going to increment to 2. And for the Askari, they got a 1, so this will increment to 3. Okay, so down here on the Byzantine side, we have some decisions to make. First of all, I will suck 1 hit out by getting rid of these militia, or pilgrims, as the case may be. And everybody else is a 2-step unit, I'm pretty sure. So we're going to see what this takes here. Let's reduce our horse archers by 1. That's 2, and then we'll reduce 1 heavy infantry, and then we'll conduct our round of battle. And this is the first battle round, not the 4th one. Let's just mark that right there. So let's roll for Dukas first. He needs a 3 or less, and he doesn't get one. Alexios needs a 5 or less. Okay, Alexios gets a hit, so that's 1 hit tallied to the Muslims. The horse archers, 1. The heavy cavalry hit on a 3 or less. Nope, they miss. The heavy infantry hit on a 3 or less. They will hit, so this will go to 2. And the other heavy infantry, the reduced strength heavy infantry, only hit on 1, so they miss. So now the Muslims will have to eat the 2 hits on these militia. So they will go back in the Seljuk Cup, and we will go to the second battle round, where the Muslims will attack again. In this case, we'll attack with Ridwan, 2 or less. Nope. The Seljuk militia. Nope. The Seljuk horse archers. Nope. And the Askari. Askari score a hit, so we got 1 hit over here. We will apply that hit, I think, here to reduce this. I wish there was a marker for the for where the battle is taking place, because you're supposed to move everything off and put it on this battle display. What can I use for that? I got something I can use for that, which I'll deal with in a minute. So let's roll first for the Byzantines. We've already eaten that hit. So the Byzantines will roll for Dukas first, even though Alexios should go first because he's the damn emperor. We have 1 hit there. If we can do 4 here, we'll end the battle by eliminating the Seljuk units. We got Alexios. Alexios will score a hit. We've got the horse archers. Turkopoloi. They need a 1. They don't get it. The heavy cav. They don't get it. And then the 2 heavy infantry, which are both reduced. They need a 1. They do have a 1, so we're going to have 3 hits. So we're going to have to take these on the lowest strength units first. So that's going to be 1, and then I can pick 1. Now the leader doesn't really make much of a difference, at least at the moment. But let's get rid of the horse archer. Whoops. Yep. No. 3. And then this. So we only have Ridwan's personal guys left for round 3. So these guys will go back into the cup, and then we'll go to round 3. And I hope I didn't get an extra roll in there. So the 1 Muslim roll will be for Ridwan's personal troops will be a miss. So we go back to the Byzantines. First for Dukas, who misses. Then for Alexios, who almost can't miss. Well, Alexios gets a hit, so that's the end. So at this point, doing excess hits against what you needed does not have any additional effects. So I'm just going to say this is over. Ridwan here goes back in the pool, and we'll put the Byzantines back on the map in Nicaea. Okay, so a couple of quick things. We are now at the end of the regular action segments, of which there are 3. We would now do the special actions. So there's no difference between special actions and regular actions. Special actions are just more actions. As far as I can tell, a literal reading of the rules would indicate that I have 1 special action because the Armenians, which are off map over here, control their own home space, but the Armenians are neutral and not activated yet. So although the rules don't spell this out, and I do have the more recent version of the rules from Decision's website, I'm going to interpret that to mean that the Armenians have to be in the game. So we're going to go right to the Muslim response check phase. Now, one other thing, another mistake that I made, a natural roll of 7 on 2 dice for movement is in fact not an attrition check. A natural roll of 6 is, and we did roll a 6, but I don't remember, without checking the video, exactly where that happened, and I feel like it's too late to go back and fix it. So we would have had an attrition check. Attrition in this game is really harsh, by the way, but I don't think we can go back and unscrew that. So we will just make that observation that we need to do it right next time and move along and go to the Muslim response phase. Okay, so in the Muslim reaction phase, the first thing we're going to do is check to see if the Muslim reaction level changes. Right now it's 1, which is really low, which is great for us, but it might well change. So to do that, we determine the number of fortresses controlled or contested by Crusaders, which looks like 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll 3 dice, and if we roll 3 or less, then the Muslim reaction level goes up by 1. That's way more than 3, and so it obviously does not. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is check for a Muslim counteroffensive. Sorry about the angle on this, because this is the table right here. White die is going to be the horizontal, red die will be the vertical. So horizontal 5, vertical 4. That's going to put us here on Raid Edessa. So sorry about the angle on this. I couldn't actually get the camera to get this better in frame. We'll fix that for next episode. So we're going to have a raid on Edessa in the meantime. So what that means is that if there were Christian units in Edessa, then we would have some fighting to do. But Edessa is way off the map over here, and it is only the first turn, so there is actually no Christian armies within several spaces of that space, so nothing happens in this particular case. The last phase of the turn is the supply phase, which is the winter supply check. We only do that in the autumn turn. This is the spring 1097 turn, so we do not do that this turn. So that is the entire spring 1097 turn. So hopefully, and in editing, I can beat this into shape. It's taken me a fair amount of time to play through it. I've made a couple of screw-ups already. It is the first time I played this game, so if you notice anything in addition that I messed up, feel free to mention it down in the comments below. If you've enjoyed, please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel because I have more of this on the way. This is a 8 or 9 turn game, and I plan on doing a whole series on it until I finish. So thanks for watching. I will see you next episode.